Hello again. It's good to be back talking to all of you. For this video, I want to talk about the poetry essay. You should have read the assignment sheet for the poetry essay as part of your work for last week. It's posted on Moodle under last week's module, I guess, under the thing for last week. And also, if you go to the assignment sheets tab all the way at the bottom of the Moodle, you can find it there as well. So make sure that you read through this if you haven't already. And I just want to go over some of the things about it. So at the top, I mentioned, some things that we've talked about thinking about rhyming, rhythm, form when it comes to poetry. But other than, the differences that we're looking at poems now instead of short stories, we are doing the same thing in that we want to be making an argument about a message that the poems are sending. So I did give you a suggested topic to maybe get you started with this. It says, how does the poetry of the civil rights movement present a theory of revolution? What strategies do the poems advocate for resisting oppression? How do the poems fit in with the political theories of the time period? So just like with the last essay, um, I wouldn't want you to just like directly answer these questions like it's some kind of short answer type thing. You do want to come up with your own thesis, right? I just think that it would make sense for you to basically think about like what are the political ideas of the poems. So we've also looked at Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and talked about their political opinions as we see them outlined in their writings or their speeches. Um, so yeah, I think we can use like the stuff that we've read about the time period and about these political figures to think about, well, what are the politics of the poem, right? So remember that when we write this kind of essay, the text, in this case, the poem that you're writing about, needs to be the main focus, right? So don't write me an essay just analyzing Martin Luther King and what his thoughts were and all the different things he did in his life. That's fine. That's a historical essay. That's not a literary analysis essay. So what you need to be doing is picking one, maybe two or three of the poems. I don't know. I probably wouldn't do all five of them, but you want to be picking one or a couple of the poems and making an argument about what the politics of the poems are. You might want to say, well, the politics of It's Nation Time are similar to things that Malcolm X said, and here's how they're similar, and here's why I think this. I think something like that could work. Um, it doesn't need to totally fit in. Like I think there's like from Mississippi Goddamn, I think there's certain parts that you could relate to Malcolm X. I think there's maybe other parts you could relate to Martin Luther King. Um, so that's fine. You don't have to say that the poem, you know, like this poem is what MLK thought and this one's what Malcolm X thought. It doesn't have to be like that. Just look at the poem and say, well, what does this poem think? What are kind of the political theories that this poem is putting forth? And then once you start there, you can say, well, it thinks, that there should be unity among African Americans, and then we can show how that fit in with the political theories of the time and stuff like that. So I hope that by reading this stuff about the time period, we can get some more context and it can help us kind of see what the politics of the poems are. But you still need to be focused on the poem itself and what are the political ideas of that poem, right? And as long as you're doing that, I think it would be good. You can also, you could show how the poems agree or disagree with MLK or Malcolm X or any of the other stuff that we're going to be reading. So yeah, we have our rough draft. I am looking for this Friday, April 2nd. So I would want that then. And then the final draft is due like 10 days later. So it's due the Monday, not like obviously the next Monday, but the Monday after that, the 12th. So April 2nd, rough draft, April 12th, final draft. I want to see. I'm trying to think of other things that are different here. This is also 4 pages. Oh, and I put on here specifically that the works cited page does not count towards the page limit, right? So you should have 4 pages and a works cited to make 5 total. Um, and I'm looking for 3 outside sources this time. And the poems, of course, do not count as outside sources. I'm looking for essays, articles, books, whatever. So for this unit, I think I've given you a fair amount of research, right? Just with the stuff that we've been reading for homework, and I also sent out an email that maybe you guys saw, just kind of including some of the articles that I used for one of the other videos that I made. Some of the stuff about the FBI and their surveillance of the civil rights movement. I gave you some articles about that. I also sent you this really good article called "The Black Power Movement: A State of the Field," and that's just kind of like a really general overview of what Black Power, which is related to what I've been calling Black nationalism. It just kind of gives an overview of what it was and some of the important figures and people, and also points out a lot of other good articles and books that you might want to check out. So I would really recommend you read that. Um, and yeah, so again, I'm gonna try to say this as much as possible, but for this essay with the poems, we want to say what are the political ideas of this poem? Does this poem fit more in with, is it more interested in peaceful, nonviolent, like Christian kind of protest, or is it more interested in, the more aggressive, urgent, taking control for yourself, like kind of Malcolm X stuff? But as long as you're telling me the politics of the poem itself and how the poem fits into the political landscape, the political ideas that were being thrown out there during this time period, I think you will be on the right track. So, yeah, this is the poetry essay. Please reach out with any other questions that you have about it. And I'll see you later.